But do you guys feel pretty good where you are right now, riding the 6-game winning streak as March Madness is right around the corner?
Yeah, all things considered, I mean, a lot of times it's not about how you feel about your team; it's how others feel, and where do your analytics stack up, and where do these, where does the bracketologist and all these numbers put you? And right now, yes, all things considered, we feel pretty good. But with all that being said, if anything is to happen, and it's not just in the Fresno games, with the Boise State games, we don't know what's going to happen with Boise this weekend, and there's just so many things that are out of our control, but the two things the one main thing that's in our control is what we do, and that's to go hopefully and get 2 wins this weekend at Fresno.
Coach, these long layoffs, for me personally speaking, is like it's just the anticipation. Like, I need to see more Aztecs basketball, but these layoffs, obviously, given the situation, where is this team right now? Since you have eyes on these guys with practice, how are they looking right now as they head into the series with Fresno State?
Right now, I think this past week, we really listened to our guys, and they did a great job of kind of listening to their bodies about, where they're at with their fatigue over the season. I mean, there's a lot of times in a college basketball year where this is the time of year, as much as you gear up and you're so amped to play these end of February, early March as you get to the conference tournament and March Madness. But the problem is that it's been a long year. Well, now this year is like everything else this year. It's just been so totally different. And to be honest, I think our team feels really fresh. We're about as healthy as we could be going into this stretch run. Knock on wood, we stay that way. But it just in terms of how they look, how they feel, I feel like we look fresh. And there was a kind of over that run there, we started to get a little fatigued in the middle of playing those 6 games. And I feel now that we're ready to go on the stretch run. And we have 4 huge games coming up. But again, they start with 2 that are going to be not easy games and tough battles up in Fresno.
Before the season began, when we looked at the schedule and you opened against UCLA and you had Arizona State on the road, we were talking about how important it was to win those games, because the prevailing thought was once you got into the conference schedule, the Mountain West Conference wasn't going to do you any favors. And now we're looking at bracketologies, and they all have 4 Mountain West schools in the field of 68, Coach. I mean, does this surprise you? I mean, you know where you were, but are you surprised that as it's turned out, the Mountain West was a lot better than people had projected?
Yeah, in terms of how good the Mountain West is, especially the top 4, is there any surprise? No, absolutely not. The moment that Neemias Queta was coming back to Utah State, you can almost pencil him as an NCAA tournament team, if not a bubble team. You go to Colorado State. They had the freshman of the year last year on their team coming back, and they returned a lot of other really good players like David Roddy, who is just a monster 4-man for them. And then as it goes in, they go to Boise. You got Leon Rice, and it's the most talented Boise State team he's had in his career since he's been at Boise. He's got tons of transfers. And then you go to our team, and we expect it to be good. And so, no, I mean, in terms of how good we are as a league, especially at the top, no, I don't think there's any surprise. Now, to say that all 4 did what they needed to do as of right now to get into the NCAA tournament, I mean, not to say surprise, but please. I think it's important. I think it's incredibly important for recruiting. The better your league is, the easier it is to recruit to. You start going back, and we've had a few years of being a 1-bid league or, 2-bid league with the conference championship and maybe one at-large team. It doesn't do any favors for the whole league in general. And we wanted to get back to those days of multiple NCAA tournament teams out of the Mountain West.
Coach Dave Velasquez, San Diego State Aztecs getting ready for Fresno State Thursday. You're going to hear the game right here. Coach, you're talking about these big games. You're talking about the stretch run. We look forward to the Mountain West Conference Tournament, which, as you guys mentioned, it's going to be tough just navigating through that. But one of the young guys that is turning heads is Lamont Butler. I see that Bryce Miller did an article with him referring to his new nickname, Downhill, referring to those big body backs in the NFL. But how important is it, or how do you go about keeping these younger guys grounded to stay in the moment in these big games that you have coming up?
Well, again, I think you don't really treat them any different. We coach Lamont as hard as we coach any guy on our team. And I told him yesterday, at this point in your freshman year, you're no longer a freshman. We're getting towards the end of February. the freshman excuse goes out the window, and there's things that we expect out of him the same way we expect out of Jordan and Matt, who are seniors. And with Lamont, in terms of keeping him grounded, I mean, that comes to how he was raised, his maturity level. This is not the first time people told him he was really good. And so I think he's pleased, but he also knows that he's got a lot to work on. There's got to be more consistency. And, I think his last two games, you could argue that, were games that he's got to grow from. And he is. And he's gotten better this week at practice. And he's going to be a huge contributor for us as the season goes. And he provides so much on the defensive end of the floor that goes unnoticed. I mean, his active hands on the ball, his ability to make steals off the ball. He can switch onto big guys. He can guard the point guard 94 feet. And then offensively, he does play downhill. He does what you like to, we call paint touches. As many times you can get in that paint, that's the better you are offensively. And Lamach can just find ways to play downhill. And there's games where he does a great job finishing, and there's other games where he's got to get on balance and not end up on the floor and not get fouled. And so, again, Lamach's he's an outstanding player, and he knows, and we all know that he's got room to grow, moving forward. But, again, he's going to be a huge contributor as this season goes, especially this weekend.
Coach, listening to Dutch yesterday talking about your current standing as far as your net, although you did drop a couple today down to 25, but still comfortably there. Obviously in the AP top 25, things are looking good as far as getting into the tournament. But the fact that the tournament's all going to be in one site, because we were talking about this last year, the loss in the Mountain West Conference tournament, could that hurt the seed and actually maybe help you guys by staying out west? We were talking about all these different factors as far as that was concerned. And then they pulled the plug on the March Madness. But is the seeding aspect of it less important this year in terms of not having to be shipped off to some unknown area as far as the tournament? The fact that it's all in Indianapolis, does it make it a little less important as far as where you're actually seated?
Again, it's yes and no. I mean, the biggest thing with seeding is their matchups.
Potential matchups. That's the thing. Yeah.
And that to me, we've played in a couple 8-9. I mean, it's tough you play that 8-9 game and you win, and then boom, you got the 1 seed. So you're excited to get in on the 8-9, but damn, you got the one seed waiting for you. There's a huge difference of, you're 6-11. You're 6-11. You have a much better chance to start moving forward into the Sweet 16. I mean, that's just history has shown. So yeah, I mean, seeding matters in terms of matchups and how good the other team might be that you're playing. But again, it's the NCAA tournament. Everybody's really good. I think one of the main factors, and this will be for every team that's there, especially for the West Coast teams. One of the main factors, family and friends can go. You have a certain amount of allotment, according to the chairman, Dan Gavitt, that we'll be able to have family members there in Indianapolis. Now, will they be able to go hang out with their sons? No, but they'll have a chance to watch them, and I think that will be a huge factor. I know for our guys how big of a deal that was, and it really the only game we've had family at is Arizona State, and I think I think it helped us, to be honest. To have fans in the stands and moving forward, we're going to go all the way through a conference tournament without any fans in the stands. I mean, we'll have none at Fresno. We'll have none at home versus Boise. And we'll have none in the conference tournament. So the first time that we'll really be able to get all the parents to be able to watch their kids play is in Indianapolis if we make it to the NCAA tournament. And I think that will be a huge factor for not just our team, but all teams, but especially the West Coast teams that haven't had a chance to play in front of their family and friends very often.
Coach, I've had the good fortune of covering 16 Final Fours
Wow.
over the years. I've been to a lot of Final Fours, and it's always fun because the NABC, obviously, National Association of Basketball Coaches, I always feel short because there's a lot of tall people wherever the Final Four is, with the NABC meeting and everything else. And it always seems like, you got 4 schools there, the fans of the schools, it's just packed, right?
Oh, absolutely.
68 schools. I mean, what? I'm trying to, knowing, and I've been to 5 Final Fours in Indianapolis, okay? So I know that city as far as the Final Four is concerned. I can't imagine what it's going to look like with 68 schools. I mean, what do you anticipate it's going to be like?
I anticipate that the teams that are there are going to feel a little bit like they're in a supervised jail, if you will, because they're not going to be able to be allowed those 68 teams of fans. And, I know if we make it, I know there's some fans of San Diego State fans that they're not, even if they can't go into the games, they still plan on being in Indianapolis to do it with exactly what you feel, what you talked about, which is to feel the March Madness. Feel the energy of Indianapolis. And like you say, it's been there plenty of times. And, I've been fortunate enough. That's kind of where the basketball coaches conference is every year, is at the Final Four. And we do a lot of, coaching clinics and many different things while we're out there at the Final Four. And it's just amazing what the city of Indianapolis is during that weekend. And again, like you said, I can't imagine. Usually it's just 4 teams and a bunch of other just, college basketball fans and coaches and, just everyone who loves the game is usually there for the Final Four. But to have 68 teams in one city, yeah, I can't really imagine, to be honest. So it's going to be nuts.
No doubt about it. Well, Coach, continued success. Good luck on this trip to Fresno. And, well, the March Madness is right around the corner. We can't wait. Good luck, Coach.
I appreciate you guys. Go Aztecs.
Yeah, go Aztecs.
Yeah, Indianapolis is a great Final Four city.